Thanks for joining us. This is Live with Miami's Community Newspapers. I'm Michael Miller. We're here with our Congresswoman, Donna Shalala. Welcome, and thank you very much for joining us. And this is Grant Miller, brother and partner since 1982. So,
and we got 32 more years to go.
Amen.
At 95, I'm retiring, and at 100, he's done.
So, thank you for being here today.
You're welcome.
So, you have quite the storied past. You've served the country. You've served the University of Miami and the students and all of us in this area, and we thank you for your service. And you recently co-sponsored a bill in the House called the 100% Clean Economy Act. Sea level rise is a problem for everybody. Mm-hmm. What is this bill going to mean for us here?
Well, we're focused on the immediate problem we have. We need to raise streets, we need to buy pumps, we need to build seawalls in our community. And so we're focused on the infrastructure bill. That one helps. The other thing that helps is that all of us in the Florida delegation decided that we would vote together to ban drilling offshore. Another very strong environmental piece. And the third piece I think that everybody will appreciate is we finally got the federal government to step up on the Everglades. The Everglades restoration bill was passed in the 1990s, but the state has put in its money, the federal government has not put in its money, and finally last year we got $200 million, and this year we're going to get $250 from the feds, which means that's where our water supply comes from. That's absolutely critical for us in the future.
The Governor Santos is doing a good job. He's trying to work with you guys.
He absolutely is. More importantly, he can talk to the president.
Correct. A very good point.
So the only part of the president's bill that any of us liked was actually the $250 million for the Everglades, because he cut everything else. Food stamps, all the things that help disability, healthcare. He cut lots of different things, but he left in the money for the Everglades.
So there's something that's killing all the little critters out in the Everglades, which are the pythons. Mm-hmm. And as you know, the biologists have essentially said the raccoons, the rabbits, the small little critters, the birds are disappearing. Mm-hmm. And it's wonderful that the state is hiring these python hunters to try to control it. I'm into animals. Pythons have a lot of babies.
Michael, when he was in high school, his mother and father wanted to throw him out of the house because on the side of the yard he had a pond. And what happened? What all the snakes got lost? How many?
A lot. So
the whole neighborhood, the whole neighborhood looking for his snakes.
Something in a bigger way has to be done in the Everglades.
Mm-hmm.
Going out and catching pythons one at a time is not going to do it. I don't know what the answer is, but it's going to be a long time until those little guys get back there. So I hope there's some solution that's there.
Well, we have to figure out a way to make sure the pythons don't have babies. At the end of the day, that's the way you control feral cats and other kinds of varmints that you don't want. The problem with pythons is they were introduced into the Everglades. They're not natural. It's not their natural habitat. So while you can periodically get some of them out through the hunters, you really have to do some other things, and we need a lot more science to figure out what we can do to prevent them from creating little pythons.
Well, I hope that you address the issue, because if we don't, it's going to be a long time until those little babies are back, the four-legged critters. You recently were with the mayor of Miami Beach. Mm-hmm. And it was a roundtable discussion about the anti-Semitism that's going on. There were some 2,000 incidences that occurred. What is it that we can do as average citizens of Miami and across the country so we can reduce those types of violence?
Some of it is just talking to each other and education in our community, making sure that young people understand what anti-Semitism is, what racism is. Some of it is just conversations between neighbors, but a lot of it is education. The other thing is, when you see it, you've got to step up. We had incidents at the University of Miami, usually not caused by University of Miami students, swastikas in a bathroom. We jumped on it immediately, and everybody said to me, what about free speech? And I said, I've got free speech too, and we have zero tolerance for anti-Semitism, but also for racism, homophobia. This is about hate. And of course, we've got an excellent police presence and education on hate crimes. And the police both monitor the internet. They've got a pretty sophisticated system with the FBI. And in addition to that, they will, as soon as they get a phone call, respond right away. So we finally have a trained police departments across our community that know how to manage hate crimes.
Yesterday we were with the folks from SAVE, and we talked about Matthew Shepard. He was a young man, maybe a dozen years ago, that was
Horrible.
I think it was tied up to a tree and killed, if I remember
state was
correctly.
that?
What?
Where is that?
Up north somewhere, and he was gay, and he
In
just
Florida?
No,
No.
it was in the West, actually.
and just beat him to death.
Wyoming.
right? And because you speak about hate, that's one of the things that if there's be some leaders in showing that it's okay to be this, it's okay to be Jewish, it's okay to be gay, it's okay to have all these other things. Is there something that you could introduce to us here that little kids and teenagers can look at and say, hey, this is okay to be like this? Is there something that you think you could do?
Well, that's part of the educational responsibility in our community. We have a requirement in Florida that we teach about the Holocaust, for example. But as part of being a Miamian, as part of being part of this community, we have to educate every young person that hate is not acceptable, that we celebrate our differences, that our community is actually stronger because of these differences. Yeah.
Congresswoman Donna Shalala, thank you so much for being
You're
here.
welcome.
It's our honor to do this. And Grant, say goodbye.
See you tomorrow.